NTA International News.
Acting President Professor Yemi Osinbajo says federal government will rehabilitate facilities at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. Federal government sets up technical committee towards positioning Nigeria among exporters of agricultural produce. Plus, Nigeria to witness partial solar eclipse on Sunday. Hello, it's my pleasure to welcome you to NTA International News this hour. I'm Nancy Godi Angonihu. The federal government is determined to rehabilitate the facilities at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. Acting President Yemi Osinbajo said this during an inspection tour of the airport. He said the present administration is doing a lot towards creating an enabling environment for business to thrive in the country.
There's a lot to be done. A lot of maintenance. We've just looked at some of the facilities. We've been doing a lot of work on ease of doing business, on making the environment friendly for not just for local transportation, but also for those who want to come and do business in Nigeria. So the airport obviously is one of the major places where we need to ensure that facilities are working and that things are being run properly. So we've looked around, we've seen quite a few of the equipment, we've seen many things that need to be done, many things that need to be corrected, and we'll have to work on them as quickly as possible.
Acting presidents there inspecting facilities at the airport. Nigerian Society of Engineers has suggested the need for its members to be appointed as heads of ministries, departments and agencies with engineering mandate. This was at a forum of engineers in the National Assembly with the leadership of the Nigerian Society of Engineers in Abuja. Adebola Brooksland Sunday reports.
In his submission, Deputy President of the Society, Adekunle Mokwolu, emphasized that this will ensure accuracy, precision, and unhindered progress of all sectors of the economy.
Focusing first on what can be the foundation to take us out of the recession. And what can take us out of the recession is to start thinking of revitalizing and resuscitating our ailing, manufacturing industry, so that people will get more jobs. There will be production. It's not that you are moving money around.
And even we are looking at the younger engineers, because this interaction is trying to come up with a bill or whatever means to ensure that our younger engineers get a special salary scale to match what they are designed for, like the medical doctors and those in the law profession.
They said they have so far presented some bills before the Senate and the House of Representatives towards ensuring the relevance of members in the development of the nation. Adebola, Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
The National Space Research and Development Agency says a partial solar eclipse will be visible in different degrees of obscurity on Sunday, the 26th of February. The highest degree of obscurity in Nigeria during the natural occurrence is expected to be observed in the southern part of the country, particularly Port Harcourt, Uyo and Calabar, while the lowest degree of obscurity will be in the northern part of the country, particularly Kebbi State. A statement by the agency's head of media, Dr. Felix Ale, says there is no cause for alarm as solar eclipse, which is a natural occurrence, will be observed across the nation, making each part of the country a great site for viewing the eclipse in different degrees of obscurity. And the federal government is to continue to support the growth and development of every state of the federation, especially in science and technology. The Minister of Science and Technology, Obunaya Onu, said this when he hosted the Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology of Jigawa State. Adebola Brooksland Sunday reports.
Ministers.
The Commissioner, Rabia Adamu, who led some members of the Ministry of Education of the state, said the visit is to improve the collaboration that exists between the state ministry and that of the federal government.
We collected a lot of information and data, involved all stakeholders in the education sector and in the communities, trying to find out how we can salvage the sector.
Responding to our requests, Ogbonnaya Onu said, very soon, the ministry will commence the distribution of science and technology as well as other laboratory equipment to all the states of the Federation for the development of science.
And that is why we are always happy whenever we find a state that recognizes the importance of science and technology to nation building.
The minister has also played host to members of Enugu State Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, where the president spoke on the significance of the forthcoming trade fair to the nation's economy.
We're also consolidating efforts toward the specially designated areas in the fair complex for the exhibition of new products, prototypes, innovations, and research findings for commercialization purposes.
The minister promised his ministry's commitment to ensure a knowledge-based and innovation-driven economy. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
The Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative has distributed food worth millions of naira to internally displaced persons in Gombe State with assurance of more assistance. Musa Abubakar has details of this report.
The food items, which includes rice, maize, millet, beans, indomie and vegetable oil, were distributed to 1,400 internally displaced persons living in Gombe State. The leader of the delegation, Professor Sunday Ochochi, stated that the intervention is aimed at providing succor for IDPs, saying that the gesture is just the beginning.
It is small, but targeted to bring relief to those who have endured a lot of hardship, and it is going to continue. We are targeting a total of 1,400 households.
We want to have a situation whereby these IDPs will finally return to their homes, especially with the successes recorded by the Nigerian military, Nigerian army. We are hopeful that very soon they will all go back home and engage themselves in meaningful economic activities.
Executive Secretary, Gombe State Emergency Management Agency, Dr. Alami Arabs Rukuje, and representative of IDPs expressed gratitude to the federal government for the gesture, saying it will go a long way in alleviating their sufferings.
I want to further assure you that to the best of our abilities, we shall ensure that these materials go to those who need them most.
In Gombe, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
To consolidate the gains of counter-terrorism operations in Nigeria, guests on Good Morning Nigeria say good governance, human and environmental security, as well as reintegration of joint task force are key elements to pay attention to. Gufan Shanji tells us more.
Terrorism remains one of the disturbing challenges to national peace and security. Nigeria, however, is recording huge success in tackling the menace, attributing the success to the provision of strategic leadership and equipping of the armed forces. The guests on Good Morning Nigeria say to consolidate the gains of counter-terrorism, it is imperative to take the campaign to the local government as well as check the crime rates at every level, especially the issue of kidnapping.
We want to address the issue of herdsmen moving to displace sedentary farmers. Okay. We want to address the issue of education as part of good governance.
So good governance is what will stop this rollback, where we can see justice, we can see equity.
Reintegration of civilian joint task force and the deployment of forest guards were also factors x-rayed to sustain the gains of counter-terrorism. The guest also reiterated the need for every Nigerian to participate in the fight and for the country to continue to explore regional collaboration. Gufan Shaji, NTA News.
The Muhammadu Buhari's administration has been commended for approving the Tertiary Trust Fund intervention budget, the highest ever to be distributed. Executive Secretary TETFund Abdullahi Bafa explained its priority during talks on collaboration with the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. Chazala Mekiye has more.
With quality education as bedrock of development for any nation, elated Executive Secretary of TETFund Abdullahi Bafa emphasized that the era where the culture of special intervention was abused in the past has been redefined given the current budget of change. He says theirs will be deployed to massive infrastructural and academic development of institutions through research.
I want to seize this opportunity of this courtesy visit to NTA to request you to please kindly use your outlet to express our sincere appreciation to the President and Commander-in-Chief for approving this very, very big and massive budget of change for the tertiary education institutions. Our priorities is to respect the law, treat universities equally, treat polytechnics equally, and treat colleges of education equally.
Director General of the NTA, Yakubu Ibn Muhammad, says the NTA is desirous of collaborating with TED Fund to promote educational pursuits that will advance the country.
Look forward to a time that TED Fund considers TV College as one of those areas that your tentacles, reach in terms of intervention. And having said that, we'd like to assure you that we in NTA, are always ready, to work with other federal government agencies and organizations, because we serve the same, essentially, set up to achieve the same set of objectives. That is the advancement of the cause of our country, Nigeria.
TED Fund was established as an interventionist agency for rebuilding facilities and infrastructure in public tertiary institutions. Chiazalam Ekiye, NTA News.
Commander, United States of America Command, AFRICOM General Thomas Wadhoza has commended the Nigeria police force for its key role in maintaining security in the country and the entire continent. General Thomas gave the commendation while on a courtesy visit to the Inspector General of Police, Idris Ibrahim, at the force headquarters, Abuja. The AFRICOM commander also seeks collaboration with the Nigeria police. The Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, said the Nigerian police is working with the military in the northeast to restore peace there. He expressed his desire for a continuous cooperation between the Nigeria Police Force and AFRICOM. This is the news on NTA International. We're reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. We shall be right back after the break. Thank you for being there. Nigerian journalists have been urged to redirect their focus to developmental journalism and eschew quackery in the profession. This formed the thrust of the presentation of Nigeria Union of Journalists 2016 yearbook and a practical guide to journalistic writing. Joseph Johnson reports that contributors called on relevant authorities to clamp down on fake journalists.
Maxwell Esegbe has worked as a journalist for over 30 years. He tells me his experience has been somewhat revealing, especially as he had to deal with some unethical colleagues in the course of duty.
Things will change. For instance, the NUJ, the Nigerian Federation of Journalists, the Nigerian Organization of Journalists, they are gradually coming together to make sure that this issue of fictitious writings by fake journalists are being expunged totally from the society.
Well, coming together here to forge a way forward are members of the Nigeria Union of Journalists and development partners, where the Senate President and Speaker of the House of Representatives were represented.
We are there to support you because we believe democracy will not hold sway where journalists, professional journalists for that matter, are not alive to their responsibility.
A compilation of different perspectives, NUJ's 2016 yearbook, an annual compendium that documents events in the country, alongside a practical guide to journalistic writing, were presented to the public.
What we are seeking through is the legislation that will give us a backing that anybody that contravenes the ethics of the profession can be dealt with under the law.
Ultimately, this book, A Practical Guide to Journalistic Writing by Bolu John Folayan, contains the key to thriving and not just surviving through the ever-evolving practice of journalism. So whether you are a practicing journalist or an upcoming, professionalism should fundamentally be the watchword. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
Thank you, Joseph Johnson. I guess all of us need that book. The federal government has set up a national working group to provide the technical advice that will position Nigeria among the world exporters of agricultural produce. This is coming as the country is set to commence the export of yam to Europe and Asia. Musa Baba Aliyu has details.
Nigeria, by the records we have, is by far the largest producer of yam, accounting for 61.7% according to FAO figures.
In spite of this, however, Nigeria is yet to make significant impacts in the global trade of the commodity. Consequently, the federal government constituted a technical committee that will identify ways and how Nigeria will penetrate the global yam market.
Because the next thing we may hear is that, do we have enough? Why are you exporting our yams? I think the farmers in this country are quite willing to meet the gap if there is a market. They have never let us down, especially if we help mechanize the whole process.
The National Technical Committee Group on Development of Global Gap was inaugurated with the responsibility of ensuring that Nigerian produce are not rejected in the international commodity market.
In various countries, our beans, our cashew, and many other produce have been rejected. And largely not because of the quality, but basically because they did not pass through the proper certification process, because Nigeria doesn't have a standard of its own.
Wasting too much more time, be able to, achieve the standards that we need to be able to compete and take a fair share of the global, agro market.
China, India, and Czech Republic have already placed order for the supply of tonnage of dry yam and cassava from Nigeria. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
We're now moving on to business news with Olayinka Ojo.
Welcome to Business News. In keeping with the promise to ease difficulties encountered by Nigerians in obtaining funds for foreign exchange transactions, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, carried out a special wholesale intervention for sales in the interbank forex market by offering $500 million. But 23 banks were able to take up over $370 million to meet the visible and invisible requests of the customers. The CBN also sold $80 million to banks to meet the demand of their customers who had applied for forex for school fees, medicals, personnel, and business travel allowances out of the $125 million uncleared backlog for invisibles. Oil future climbed 1% on Thursday after data showed a surprise decline in U.S. crude stock as imports fell, supporting the view that the global glut is ending. OPEC and producers, including Russia, aim to reduce production by around 1.8 million barrels per day in an attempt to drain an oversupply that has kept price depressed for more than 2 years. So far, OPEC appears to be sticking to its deal, but other producers, notably U.S., have increased output, helping swell stock in the United States, the world's biggest oil consumer. And that's it on the business segment of the news. I am Olayinka Ojo. The news continues.
The Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority says it is refocusing its attention to domestic investments driven by the compelling opportunities in the domestic market. This is to drive sustained economic development for the benefit of all Nigerians. The managing director of the authority, Uche Orji, said this in Abuja at a review of financial performance for 2016 and the outlook for 2017. Justin Bemunye reports.
NSIA's core mandate is to receive and manage funds on behalf of the 3 tiers of government to invest in a diversified portfolio of medium and long-term assets. The authority says year 2016 was a fruitful one in spite of economic challenges. This year, it is tilting its investments to the domestic market as it plans to run a fertilizer production program which targets the production of 1 million metric tons for farmers at a 30 to 40% down the current price. Other investments will be in commodity exchange, operationalization of infra credit, and social infrastructure.
We made headline profits of, as at September, of 142 billion naira, of which 54 billion is actual core investment income. And then there's the impact of revaluation, of course, as we went from 196 to 304. But I think that we're seeing more and more domestic opportunities here. So you're going to see more of allocation of our investments into the domestic markets in 2017.
As investors, the NSIA sees a valuation of assets in the country coming down significantly as another opportunity to drive investments.
Because our local investments right now is less than 10% of the portfolio, much less than 10% of the portfolio is about, single digits, mid-single digits in allocation of our portfolio. We want to do more because we're now seeing a lot of opportunities.
The authority also aims to catalyze co-investment from strategic investors. In Abuja, Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
Ilyasu Ali Yakubu has the reports for other parts of the world.
Malian soldiers staged their first joint patrol with members of rival armed groups in the town of Gao, where militants killed more than 77 people last month in the deadliest attack in the country's history. Hundreds of soldiers from Mali's army, France's Operation Bakken, the UN peacekeeping mission, the Tuareg separatist coordination of Azawad movement, and pro-government militias took place in the patrol. A report from South Africa says officials will inspect workplaces to see if firms are enjoying undocumented foreigners. The Home Affairs Minister says. He said more than 60 employees of retail chain Spar without documentation have been arrested. Mr. Gigaba warned that firms will be penalized if they breach the law and said they should not fuel tension by playing locals against foreigners. And from U.S. comes a report that Donald Trump's government has revoked guidance to U.S. public schools that allowed transgender students to use toilet matching their gender identity. The guidance issued by his predecessor, Barack Obama, had been hailed as a victory of transgender rights, but critics said it threatened other student privacy and safety. Reports say the latest challenge will, however, have no immediate impact because Mr. Obama's directive has already been temporarily blocked by a judge in Texas since August. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu, NTA News.
Nigerian National League and Nigerian Women Football League hold congresses in Abuja, set to begin the season in March as Juventus pick vital points in Portugal and the UEFA Champions League. Tamara Ebiwe tells us more on Sports Update.
Of the Nigerian National League, which commences March 17th with 14 teams in the Northern Conference, while the Southern Conference has 18 teams. The league, which held its annual congress in Abuja Thursday, says it has repositioned for a better season.
With 32 clubs spread all over Nigeria, it means that every part of Nigeria actually has a touch of NNL.
In a related development, following its annual General Congress midweek in Abuja, the 2016-2017 season of the Nigeria Women Football League finally kicks off March 25th, while the second division goes underway March 29th with an abridged format featuring 2 groups of 16 teams. Group A's opener will see Bayelsa Queens take on Ibom Angels, while Delta Queens and Confluence Queens meet in Group B's Cotton Razor.
The coming on board of the women football is not only a welcome development, but it is also a challenging development complementing this adage that whatever men can do, women can do it, if not better.
In Europe,
we now do a quick check on Friday's weather outlook in Nigeria at some cities of the world.